There are five main components that make up your Math on Demand room. The first is your main room. The next would be your exit room. Then we have the links room, the MIA room, which stands for Missing in Action, and the last one is your teacher breakout rooms. And these are the rooms that you work one-on-one with students. So when you go to set up your mod room, the first thing that you want to put in your main room, actually the only thing that goes in your main room, is just the Welcome to Math on Demand slide. This is the slide that students will see when they first come in. This is the slide that gets them information if this is their first time here, and also the link to the survey that they need to fill out, and then directions that they need to follow. Now, in the main room, students do not get tools. We do not allow them to write on the board. We don't allow them to use the microphone. Instead, the only way that they communicate through us is through the chat box. Now, the next component that you'll want in your mod setup is the exit room. Now, the exit room is where students go once they have finished working with you one-on-one and you feel that they are good enough to go work on their own. So what you will do is you'll send them to the exit room, and this is the screen that they'll see in the exit room. Now, your screen may vary based on the mod room that you work in, and it's always a good idea to save the slides for your particular mod room, so that way they're easy for you to access and easy for you to load up. So in the exit room, what students will do is they'll click on the link that takes them to the exit survey. Once they have completed that survey, then they are free to go and they may log out of class by just clicking the red X that logs them out. Now, in your exit room, again, students aren't allowed to have tools. We make sure that their microphones are gone, their chat privileges are gone, as well as the whiteboard tools, because we don't want them to draw or put anything else on the board that doesn't need to be there. So you just want to make sure that when you move a student to the exit room, that they don't have any of their privileges left. Now, the next component that is good to have in a mod room is the links room. Now, in this room, this has all of the different links that would be helpful for your students. So we have one slide that's for whiteboard tools. So these are just links to find whiteboard tools. Now, these are all the same videos. It's just done in different ways, because what you'll find out with students as you work with them is that some links will work for students and other links will not. And that's mostly dependent on the parental controls that are set up on their particular computer. Now we have another screen that's for the app sharing tool. Again, same link, just in different formats. The snipping tool, and this is the tool that allows them to take screenshots of their problems. The whiteboard tools are going to be the ones that they use, and of course we also have the snipping tool on there because it is very helpful to have, as well as the screen capture tool. Now this is another tool that will allow them to take a screenshot of their problem and put it on the board. Now again, in the links room, we don't let the students have any tools because again, we don't want them to change anything that's on any of those slides. So if you put a student in the links room, it's usually because they need something specific, so you want to make sure that you point them to that correct room, because you'll notice in this room there's this red box that is around each slide. That's because the unfollow up here is unchecked. When that's unchecked, students are allowed to move back and forth through the rooms using the arrows at the very top. If it's clicked on follow, then the only person that can move the slides is you, the moderator. So you want to make sure that the links room is unchecked on the follow, so that way they can move back and forth to the appropriate slide that they need. But again, just make sure that if you put a student in the links room, they don't have any of their privileges. Now the next room that students are going to possibly find themselves in is the MIA room, which stands for Missing in Action. So if you're working with a student and suddenly you're not getting a response from them in the chat box, you're talking to them through the microphone and they're not responding, they may have left their computer without your knowledge. So if that's the case, what you can do is again, take away their tools and then put them in the MIA room. And what they'll see is a slide that's similar to this, that basically just says, hey, you're suddenly gone and we're wondering where you are. So as soon as you see this, raise your hand. Now, sometimes we'll put students from the main room in here that come into the room and just kind of sit there. Okay, they don't fill out the survey, they're not responding to you when you talk on the mic or through chat message, and a lot of times it's students that are thinking they're getting credit for just showing up, which they don't in this room. So they probably just logged in and then walked away or are doing something else. So you can move them into the MIA room, and if they actually do need some help, then of course, once they see this, they'll raise their hand. And a lot of times when that happens, it's because their audio isn't working, which is why this is highlighted. We want to make sure that they go through the audio wizard so that when we do talk to them, they can actually hear us. Then the last component that we have is your teacher breakout rooms. And in your breakout rooms, these are the rooms where all of your information is going to be stored that you need to put in your attendance spreadsheet. And this is where you're going to work one-on-one with those students. And as you saw in a previous video, you can make your welcome screen your own. This is the room where your students will have access to the tools that you allow them, whether those are just the whiteboard tools that allows them to write on the board, the microphone if they have one that works, or possibly even application sharing if they're having problems putting their screenshots on the board and if you to allow them to do that. And some kids even like to jump on the webcam from time to time just so that you can see them and they can say hi to you. So those are the different rooms that you're going to need to set up for your specific mod room. And like I said before, it's always a good idea to save the whiteboard files for each one of these rooms. So that way, when it's your turn to load everything up, you know exactly what goes in each room and you already have the slides saved.